In planning the sample size for the affective realism study, we first generated random data following the procedures set up by the study authors. Now what we need to do is run the ordinal analysis on these data and examine the PCCs from the randomization test. Now again, this is all done before data collection because this is a matter of planning the sample size. Now before running the analysis, we also need to set our closeness values and our closeness value and our closeness proportion. So just for the sake of this example, let's say that our closeness value is 10% and our closeness proportion is 95%. So what that means is we want 95% of those randomized PCCs to fall within plus or minus 10 percentage points of their respective means. So with those values in mind then, let's run the analysis. So we'll select Analyses, Ordinal Analysis, and Concatenated Orderings. And here are the random data. We'll scroll to the bottom and move over the positive, neutral, and negative rating values. Define the pattern. I'm going to expand this just so we can see what's going on. And positive then is expected to be greater than neutral, which is expected to be greater than negative. So that's our ordinal pattern. Select OK to accept it. Need to run the randomization test. We'll leave the defaults at 1,000 trials and within cases. And importantly, we need to select Save Randomized Results. Select OK to run it. And it iterates through and we're taken to the text output window. Now there are a number of PCCs we can focus upon here. We have a PCC for the classifiable pairs of observations. We have a PCC for the classifiable complete cases. And then we have PCCs, didn't mean to highlight that. We have PCCs for these pairwise ordinal results. So positive versus neutral, positive versus negative, and neutral versus negative. Let's begin by focusing on these pairwise ordinal results. So we go to the data edit window. And notice we have a couple of data sets now that have been created. We have this ordinal randomization results, all observations. Here are the PCCs for all those pairwise comparisons. Here are the PCCs for the cases. We get another data set here, and this gives us the PCCs for the pairwise comparison. So positive neutral, positive negative, and neutral negative. So we'll begin here. And the first thing we need to do is select Analyses and Descriptive Statistics. We want to get the means here. So we'll move those over, get the mean. Now, I don't need it, but let's get the standard deviation as well, because I want to see how similar or different these results are. And so here we see the means 48.75, 49.02, 48.95, all fairly similar. Not surprising given that we generated these data randomly. The standard deviations are all pretty close too. So it doesn't really matter which of these we choose. I'll just arbitrarily select the positive and negative. So 49.02 there is the mean. I'm going to select the data edit window. I'm going to move this over in case I need to remember that number, and I will need to remember it. And now I'm going to select the Define Orderings button. I'm going to move this up and expand this. We have a little bit of working room here. And I'll select that positive greater than negative. I'm going to auto-generate to set up 3 units of observation. And we'll see why I'm doing that in just a moment. Select OK. Look at the distribution there. And now we need to set up our closeness value around that mean. So 49.02. So if we take 49.02, subtract 10%, that gives us 39.02. And then add 10%, and that gives us 59.02. Now we can go ahead and change the labels as well. This isn't necessary, but it might help us to keep everything clear in terms of what we're doing here. So I Control C there to copy, now Control V to paste it. Now we need to make sure there's no overlap between our units of observation. So we're going to set this up as 39.01. That's the label. Now here is the actual definition, 39.01. And we need to work with the upper unit of observation here. So that's going to be 49.03. And then notice the maximum was 66, the minimum was 34. Change the label here, 49.03. So we have the 3 units of observation here set up, and most importantly, we've got this plus or minus 10 percentage points built around that mean. We'll update the distribution. And if we look at that middle unit of observation, we're at 96%. Again, the goal was 95%, so we've exceeded that a little bit here. And so 100 cases will work perfectly fine. With our closeness value at 10% and our proportion at 95%, we've hit it. So we're pretty much done if we want to focus on these pairwise predictions. Now what about those case predictions though, where we're looking at the entire pattern? So let's go to those data. And again, we're going to focus on these cases here. So we'll go to the analyses and descriptive statistics orderings. We're going to move that PCC over for the cases, get the mean, select OK. And it's 15.58. Now it's much smaller than what we saw for the pairwise comparisons, but that's not surprising as well, because again, now you have to match all three observations across the pattern. So that's going to be less likely to happen by chance than if you're only comparing two observations. So let's go to the data edit window here again. I'm going to move that over in case I need to remember that number and select the define orderings. We'll go to the percent correct classification there. And we're going to auto generate, just quickly set it up as 3 units. And okay, and look at the distribution. And once again, we're going to work around that value. 15.58 minus 10 is 5.58. 58 rather. And then 25.58. Copy the label over quickly. And take out the overlap. 5.57 there. Change the label. Work with the upper unit here, 25.59. And it is interesting as well, the maximum PCC from the randomization test was 26. The minimum was 6, as you can see here with these labels. And we'll update it. And look at that middle unit there, and it's 99.7. So again, the goal was 95%. We're almost at 100% here. And notice even for that bottom unit, there weren't any randomized PCCs there. So with 100 cases or 100 participants, we've exceeded the 95% expectation. So based on what we saw with the pairwise comparisons and based on what we're seeing here, it looks like we're good to go. 100 participants will work. So now we can go and collect data for the study.